Hearing no objection, the agenda is approved as presented. Section 1.5 is approval of our meeting minutes from May the 10th, 2022 public hearing and our regular board meeting on May 23rd, 2022, our special called meeting. You've also had a chance to look at those minutes, and without objection, we will approve them as well. Hearing no objection, those minutes are approved. Next is Section 2, our consent items. First up, 2.1 is our financial report by Ms. Angela Roden.
Hello, good evening. You got your statements for the month of May 2022. Worth pointing out is the homestead. Last month we got the Lexington portion. This month you're seeing the $74,000. That's the Saluda portion. We're also transferring money from our general obligation bonds, the 2.5. We are spending this bond money, and we're going to refinance the vans that we issued, the $42 million, by August 24th of 2022. So we're working on getting a new official statement and all that good stuff to go to market and get new bond ratings from Moody's and Standard & Poor's. We're going to be doing that again this year. So do you have any specific questions about our statements for the month of May? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roden. Next is Section 2.2, our superintendent's report. Dr. Atkinson.
Thank you. I have a few items and a few people I'd like to recognize, and just some great news to share with you. First of all, I just want to talk about commencement ceremony this year. On May 26th, we had 137 seniors graduate, which is the largest class that we can identify in the last 8 years, and we couldn't find records. I know we have somewhere to go back, but we know that that may be one of the largest classes that we've had in quite some time. And so it was a great week of celebrating our seniors, starting with the Panther Prowl on May the 18th and our senior wars on May the 24th, culminating in graduation on May the 26th. Also at the Lifelong Learning Center, we got to celebrate with 13 graduates this year that who have faced some obstacles, but they are well on their way to having some fulfilling lives ahead of them by just from their commitment and coming back and completing their degrees. We celebrated our 8 first-year teachers, our induction teachers, on May the 17th, and just want to recognize those teachers: Kayla McBride at the high school, Hannah Cherry at the middle school, Jenna Cumbie at the middle school, Carly Pratt at the primary school, Brady Fulmer at the high school, Claudia Pollard at the elementary school, and Jennifer Connolly at the middle school, and Hillary Higgins at the elementary school. And so we had an opportunity to spend some time with them on the 17th and celebrate their accomplishments, and being thankful that they're coming back with us this coming year as well. On May the 24th, we announced our Teachers of the Year. We went around to all the schools, and at the primary school, Chelsea Sheely was our Teacher of the Year. At the elementary school, Meredith Green. At the middle school, Jacob Frost. And at the high school, Donnell Hartley. Again, we were excited to come by and surprise all of those teachers, and I think all of them burst into tears as soon as we walked in the room and they realized what was occurring. A few months ago, I think we recognized our Palmetto Girls State selection, and this month I want to recognize our Palmetto Boys State selection, which is actually going on right now at Anderson University. It started on June the 12th, and our juniors that were selected and honored to represent us at Palmetto Boys State include Stephen Todd, Wyatt Connolly, Brett Derrick, and Corey Williams. We're proud of them, and as a former participant at Palmetto Boys State, I know what a wonderful week that they're having and enjoying and developing their leadership skills. I want to do a shout out to Director Beth Kirkland for the middle school concert that was held on May the 12th, her 26th concert in the district, and it was, if you were able to attend, it was quite a finale to a career spent dedicated to our district and our students, and again, it was a wonderful experience. Our summer meal program has started. It began on June the 6th, and the home location is Batesburg-Leesville Elementary School. We're serving breakfast and lunch for ages 3 to 18. The regulations have changed a little bit this year. The students do have to eat on site, whereas before they were allowed to just pick up and go, but the federal regulations have changed a little bit there. And last but not least, I want to recognize our winners of the 2022 Miss Panther contest. It was held on May the 21st. Miss Freshman, Sawyer Brazard, Miss Sophomore, Isabella Gunner, Miss Junior, Logan Timmerman, and Miss Senior, Reagan Smith, and the 2022 Miss Panther, Isabella Gunner. So just wanted to congratulate those young ladies, and just lots of excitement and things to share from the previous board meeting month. So any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Atkinson. Takes us to section 3.0, our public participation. This portion of the agenda encourages participation by citizens in our community. Participants may speak for 5 minutes or less on school or district operations, school programs, or school district matters of concern. Participants may only discuss those matters that are directly school or district related. In this public forum, the board will not hear comments on specific personnel, nor will the board take any action on topics discussed. Open discussion with the board is not permitted in the public participation portion of the agenda. To be recognized for public participation, interested persons should complete a request card prior to the start of the meeting. And I have one card. Is that all that I have? Okay. We will we'll start then. Mr. R.O. Levy.
Thank you, sir. I'm R.O. Levy. I'm president of the Batesville-Leesville branch of the NAACP. Good evening. I'm here tonight to bring your attention to some inequities in our school district as it relates to our minority employees and minority students. Now, when I say minorities, I'm not just talking about African Americans. I'm talking about Latinos, to include Puerto Ricans, Asian Americans, and other underrepresented ethnic groups. I would like to ask this board a few questions. How could you, as the people who was elected to represent all of us, allow a small group of people on Facebook and other social media determine the destiny of the only Black American principal in the district, or any principal in this district? How can you justify moving an individual who did the job, followed the rules and regulations of this state and this district? It was called a promotion. Was it really a promotion or a way of getting the principal out of the building to satisfy a few people on social media? Did anyone think about the effect this would have on students and teachers, especially during a time of state testing and the end of the year school testing? You created chaos and confusion in that building for a group of social media folks. I guess we'd have to see how those test scores look and how this awkward move affected the real school community. How could you allow a few disgruntled employees who did not like it when things did not go their way, along with some Facebook followers, to defame the character of a loyal employee with an unblemished record? Now, let's define defame for you. Defame means to harm the reputation of a person by communicating false statements about him or her. You can harm his or her reputation by libel, which is written defamation, or by slander, which is spoken defamation. Now, when you ruin someone's reputation in this matter, it is called defamation of character. Sound like to me you've created a recipe for disaster and open yourself up to other actions and scrutiny by groups who fight for the rights of unrepresented people. Now, I have a few more questions for you. Did you as a board do anything to protect the employee? Transfer is not protection. Did you perhaps send a cease and desist letter to the parties that were defaming the district employee? Did you ask the superintendent for his recommendations on how to address this situation? Or did you decide that you would take matters in your own hands? Without factual information or recommendations from the superintendent, and transfer this employee to appease a minority. From what I read on social media, this group wanted a termination of employment instead of a transfer to the district office. How can you, as the elected school board, allow outside groups to run this district? It seems as if you're going to let that happen. They may be as well not be a school board or a superintendent. Just let anyone come in and do whatever they want to do to our employees. You've allowed this group to be the face of the district. Incidents like this cause minorities to not to want to come to this district to work or to strive to become employed in a leadership position in this district. Is this the reason we have a disproportionate amount of minority teachers and administrators in this district? Our children are being done a disservice in this district because they have little representation. I have no issues that I plan to address, but I'm going to start right now because I have an appointment with a family. I will say that we will continue to monitor the activities of this school board in this district. And injustice has been done, and we would not allow this to continue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Levy. Takes us to our next section, Section 4.0, our information items, our State of the District by Dr. Atkinson.
Thank you. I want to give the board and those in the audience a highlight of a lot of the things that have occurred this year, highlighting the things that we celebrate and the challenges that we face, and just the outcomes that we were pleased with. First of all, everything that we're supposedly about is our mission, preparing students for the future now, and our priorities of trying to prepare our students to be college and career ready, which we know starts with our 3- and 4-year-olds in kindergarten and works its way all the way through graduation. So preparing students to be college and career ready does not start in the 9th grade. It is a 12, 13-year process or longer that we begin as soon as we are able to have influence on children in our district. It's really been a tale of 2 school years with COVID. Now, stretching it actually into the 3rd year. We did have ongoing COVID challenges, more so in the fall than we had in the spring. They did start to taper off as we went through the spring. We had, the health and safety protocols that were ever changing from DHEC, from the State Department, and then provisos that were passed from our legislatures. We did have some supply chain issues with food service that were more so in the fall more so in the spring than in the fall. I will say that by adding our COVID tracers, that alleviated a lot of the stress and burden on our principals, our school nurses, and administration who were trying to run the school and also trace hundreds and hundreds of close contacts from COVID in the fall. Again, it really made a lot of difference to our staff. We were able to add our academic interventionists at the middle school, Myra Davenport and Betsy McEwen, that were able to do a lot of one-on-one work with students to try to eliminate the achievement gap that had occurred because of our learning loss because of COVID. We did have some postponements of events in the fall and in the winter. I don't think we had any in the spring that we had to postpone due to COVID. I will say that we had a determination of our staff to try the best to make this as a normal school year as possible. I think in a moment when we play a video that McKinsey created for us, you will see some smiles, happy faces of students that were able to experience the most normal school year they've had in 3 years. We were able to celebrate our groundbreaking ceremony, and I'll point out some of the progress that we have made construction-wise, facility-wise in a few moments. In the spring, we had, I would say, a normal year when we brought back performances and awards programs and parents' participation in our events at our schools. So it was a typical spring for the most part. Some other notable highlights from our staff and some of our students. Again, our Panther band was the 1A state champions, having dethroned the perennial 96 high school that had won, I think, 6 years in a row. We were selected as one of 3 lighthouse districts for personalized learning, or a model, and we've had other schools and districts come in to visit. Karen Wheeler was named the Thomas Hatfield Lifetime Achievement Award. Dr. Roberts was named the Secondary Assistant Principal of the Year. And this is the 3rd year in a row that our district has had someone recognized at the state level in administration for whatever their job duties are. But again, 3 years in a row is exceptional for any district. I don't know if any other districts can tout that they've had 3 in a row of someone being recognized at the state level. Our middle school was named a 2021-22 National Beta Club of Merit. Tristan Paget was honored as the VFW National Citizenship Education Teacher Award. Charlotte Clark received the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States Award for her contribution or commitment to teaching U.S. history. Gina Bierman was named the Regional College and Career Navigator of the Year. Rebecca Brunson, Randy Fox, and Sissy Cherisley were honored for stepping up to the plate award for their work with our adult learners. Other notable highlights, our 4-year graduation rate was 87.1, which the state average is 83.3. Our dual enrollment numbers have gone up. We had 16 Midlands Tech College graduates. That's up by 1 from last year. 128 dual enrollment students. That's up by 22 from last year. We had over 500 course enrollments, totaling 1,500 college career hours, and again, that's up from last year as well. In 2021-22, we had, in the fall and spring, you'll see that we had 128 unique students enrolled dually and 527 course enrollments. And so that's a lot of savings for parents at 3 hours a course and $1,500 or $2,000 per course. So you multiply that, and it adds up a lot for parents. And also, we know that students that complete dual enrollment courses in high school have a much greater rate of success in earning their 4-year degrees. This next page, I'll just tell you that everything written on this page is significantly higher than the year prior. So if you take a look, if you were to add all the things that increase, this page increases by 222 students altogether. Class of 2022, we had 86 completers. That's up by 16. Certifications, we had 132 OSHA certifications. That's up by 51. We had 10 certified nursing assistants, up by 4, and then we had 121 other certifications that we offered that were brand new this year in different areas. Ready to work testing, we had up by 5, and work-based learning, we doubled the number of students that were able to go out and do work-based learning this year. And like I said, if you add up all those that increased here from the previous year, that's a total of 222 for the whole page. Our athletic programs had great success this past year. We had 42 athletes named All-Region. We had 4 Region Players of the Year. We had 3 athletes named All-State. 12 teams made the playoffs. All of our spring sports made the playoffs. 171 athletes had a GPA of 3.5 or higher. We had our first JV girls soccer team, and 18 seniors were named Scholar Athletes by the South Carolina High School League. On to construction. Back in August the 21st, I believe we had a thunderstorm that day. We barely beat it, but that's when we had the groundbreaking. And if you go back, this is what the campus looked like on August 21st of last year. And let's take a look, kind of burn that in your memory, and let's take a look at things that have changed in only a little over 9 months. Our Career and Technology Education Building, this is what it looked like a few weeks after the groundbreaking, and this is what it looks like today. The white that you see on there is the insulation and the roofing material that's going up. And so pretty much getting close to being dried in. And so we're making a lot of progress there, and they're starting to clean up around the building. And today we met about the paint's getting ready to go on the inside. So if we're down to picking paint colors, or paint choices, we're making really good progress. Our Fine Arts and Guidance and Administration Building. A few months after the groundbreaking, this is what the front of the school looked like, with the trees removed and the ground prepared for the foundation work. And so that's what it looks like this week. It is topped out, meaning that the last the block have been laid, so you reach the height of the building, and they're getting ready to start laying the steel, and after the steel will come the metal roofing. After metal roofing will come the insulation, and then the roofing material on top of that. You can't see it from this picture, but on the back, they're insulating, and they're laying brick on the back of this building between the existing building and the front right now, so they're moving along there. You look at the side, you can't see the back where the brick, but you can see where the building is connecting to the existing school. The next day or two, they're going to be busting through that wall, and that will be opened into that office there, into the main office, so they'll be connected. Our band soccer field, this has to be, in the history of building fields, has to be the fastest field to go from trees to an actual flat field. I wish I had a better picture for the day, but that's the way it started. It looked very sloped, trees, and after just a few short weeks, this is what that looks like now, with about 30 yards of sod have gone down. They ran out of sod. They've got to wait for it to grow a little more, and they're going to be bringing the rest of it in on Monday. But by next week, this will be completely green. So, again, it went up really quickly. Some things that I think we want to focus on this year. First of all, we will continue with our facilities. We're not quite halfway in our building plan. We are getting ready to start putting the fencing down to mark off where the new gym's going, to mark off where the new, at the high school, to mark off where the new cafeteria, media center, and the kitchen is at the primary school. So we'll be trying to navigate that and figure out, the best way to protect our students, be able to do the construction work and get buses loaded and unloaded. That's our next task, to try to make sure that we can take care of that. Also, I think it's been a while, but I think one of the things we want to do is that we want to go back from ground zero and revisit all of our safety and security procedures, looking for any gaps, things that we can control. I think that should be done every year, but again, I think it's time that we go through and do a really in-depth look at that. And other things, again, we want to continue to focus on academics, the reason we're here. So we'll take a look again at ELA and math and overall how we're meeting the individual needs of our students. Any questions on this year?
Are we still on schedule? I mean, I know building supplies are hard to get, and I didn't know if that was affecting us or not.
We're on schedule. We've had two really major hang-ups with materials. We've solved one. One was with materials we need for the fire alarm system. Obviously, we can't put students in there with that. That's been solved. Another issue that we're having some difficulty getting is called an electrical gear. I mean, and it's you think about a breaker, but we're talking about something the size of a commercial freezer. So that's kind of got us in limbo right now. I mean, but building-wise, we're on schedule.
Okay.
But we got to have electricity in that building. So that's the main electrical supply for the whole building. So
Is your switchgear coming in?
yes, switchgear. Yes. Robbie's not here today, but he may have found one that we can use temporarily until the other one comes in. So we're hoping.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Atkinson. Next up is section 5.0, our action items. 5.1 will be second reading of our budget by Ms. Roden.
That one we're having, I know maybe she's going to do it. I don't know, Stacy.
Okay, tonight we're going to do our second reading. Our first slide deals with our 135-day attendance. We have increased 54 students over the last 10 years, and as that just means our enrollment is stable. We have 102 pre-K students that are not included in that above total. Next, we go to our estimated budgeted revenues. Our tax revenue estimates, we're anticipating $432,000 additional dollars due to growth. We are not recommending a tax increase in millage. Our Tier 3 increase, we will get $174,655. Mr. Kaufman, I think this is the line you asked about last month, and thought I had done it backwards, but we're getting an additional $174 over our allocation for last year. The 22 was additional over the prior year, so it's stacked like that. So this slide is correct. There's a rolling up of general fund, EFA, and some EIA categories, so we're going to see two separate line items for that. So our numbers are going to look a lot different next year the way they're presented. You won't see those big breakdowns. They'll be collapsed into two different lines. And so we're anticipating estimated budgeted revenues of $26.583312. We are estimating use of $1.9 million of our general fund balance to make this happen, though. This slide shows the detail line by line and where the things will go in and out. Our special needs categories do combine, and there's about a $30,000 increase there. And that's we have a programmatic expenditure requirement, and it's there due to the salary schedule that we are putting forward for the teachers. I mean, well, everyone's getting some, but the main thing is the teachers. This is the year the teachers will get the $4,000, which is inclusive of a step. The expenditures, what do we add to this budget? Our last year was 24.9. We're adding $4,000 raise for each teacher. So that will be a step, which is inclusive, the $4,000 is inclusive of their step. The Senate version, we got word that they did adopt the $4,000 as well. And we do not have final new revised numbers, but they're coming hopefully by the end of the week. But with what we're hearing, it's still going to be something we can manage within this budget. All other employees got one step if they're eligible, and the salary schedules are adjusted by 2%. We have 123 people in our general fund. Personnel additions, we're having to roll up those teachers that were previously in EIA funds. We had an alternative teacher, an after-school coordinator. We've added 2 mental health positions, and I think those people have been selected at this time. Coordinator of early childhood. The high school's adding a 0.5 for PE and a technology technician, this is what we added this year. We just had not amended the budget for that. We were able to take that in with this year's money. The retirement increase is 1% for all wages. Health insurance 18.1%, and this is just for half a year, January through June of next year. And then the FICA and workers' comp will increase accordingly. And property insurance, we had budgeted $10,000, but we've gotten our bill now after the budget, and it's going up over $40,000. So we'll have to pick up that money somewhere else, but we did get the quote the other day. So we're deleting the activity bus, and so that has been picked up. I don't know if you all have seen it, but it's quite lovely, and everyone's excited about that. And we're taking out some travel and purchase services and a little bit of supplies that we'll be able to fund through federal programs or Easter monies. The increase to the general fund budget is $1.6 million for a total expenditure of $26,583,312. This next page is just the ins and outs of our EFA categories. This is showing how we're spending it, the object code. 86.37% of this is salaries and fringe, that's people. So that's where most of our money's going. And how are we going to do this? We do have an option to increase millage, but at this point we are not recommending that. We are wanting to use our fund balance that has accumulated in prior years, and our revenues are looking good this year. I think we are going to end up on a positive this year as well. So we do not recommend. We're eligible to go up 12.39 mills and go back and recapture the last 3 years that we did not go up in millage. We could go up 29.41 mills, which would bring in about close to $1 million, but we're not recommending that at this time. Our current operating is 263.67, debt service is 76.9, but this year when the tax bills come out, the debt service will be 94.8 mills, so we can pay for the facilities that we're doing. So do y'all have any specific questions at this time? Okay, if not, we can entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to give second reading approval of the proposed 2022-2023 budget as presented by the administration.
I have a motion by Ms. Burgess that we give second reading approval for the 2022-2023 budget as presented. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Mrs. Baltnight. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roden. Section 5.2 looks like our second reading of our org chart by Dr. Atkinson.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I apologize. As part of my presentation for the state of the district, I forgot to play the video for you all. So would it be okay if we play the video at the end of our action items?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
I want you to be able to see that, so, okay. Thank you, Mackenzie, for all the work doing that and for that visual reminder of our purpose and why we're here and, you know, what we're all about. When you see all those smiles, again, it just refreshes and renews you and gives you passion. I told our administrators last week when we were meeting, kind of wrapping up, that, you know, it was a difficult year, but you all ironed a lot of wrinkles out to make it a very beautiful year for our students. And so I'm appreciative of all the work that our teachers and our staff and our administration have done to make a year like you just saw for our children. I want to present to you, for your all consideration, the second reading of the organizational chart. The highlights again of the changes. It has been quite a while since we have I think it was 2013 is the last time it's been updated. So what we've done is to create a chart that's representative of what we're all currently operating at this point in time. And we divided the Director of Accountability and Adult Education into two positions: Director of Accountability and Assessment, Director of Adult Education. We moved Director of Adult Education to report to the Superintendent. We moved the Mentoring Program Coordinator report to the Chief Academic Officer. We added the Fine Arts Center Manager position to reflect current staffing. We added the Graduation and Dropout Coordinator position to reflect our current staffing. We added the Coordinator of Early Learning and Parenting Services position to reflect our current staffing. Retitled Director of Food Services to Director of Child Nutrition, and retitled the Director of Finance to Chief Financial Officer. So those are the changes. Any questions that I can answer about the proposed organizational chart?
Dr. Atkinson, will the new mental health workers just fall under psychologists, or will they?
Yeah, they would go in this line of under Director of Special Services. We would amend there. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion for the second reading approval of policy CCA, Lexington County School District 3 organizational chart as presented by the administration.
I have a motion by Ms. Baltnight that we give second reading approval of policy CCA, our Lexington County School District 3 organizational chart. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Carey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Next up is section 5.3, second reading of policy JH and JHR by Mr. Sawyer.
Good evening. We're continuing to work on updating the school board policy manual. And the administration is seeking second reading approval for policy JH, student absences and excuses, and administrative rule JH-R, student absences and excuses. As mentioned before, these policies were last updated over 23 years ago, and most revisions are clarification of language instead of being so specific to the situation as it was over 2 decades ago. Also, it's updated to keep up more currently with things such as our situation with COVID or any mass outbreak of a virus, anything that somebody could be approved for an absence without having to have doctor's excuses. It gives the principal a little bit more leeway in our policy as far as approving absences or not. Nothing has changed since our first reading. Are there any questions that anybody has about the policy?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we give an approval for policy JH and JHR as presented by the administration.
I have a motion by Ms. Carey that we give second reading approval of policy JH and JH-R as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Gunner. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Sawyer. Takes us to section 6.0, our executive session, where we're going to discuss personnel matters, including the superintendent's evaluation. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we enter into executive session for discussion of personnel matters, including superintendent's evaluation.
I have a motion by Ms. Carey that we move into executive session for discussion of personnel matters, including the superintendent's evaluation. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Burgess. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. We are in executive session.